Arijit Singh is stepping away from playback singing, and this personal career decision is actually a monumental structural moment for Indian music. It is a stress test for the entire Hindi film music ecosystem, one that exposes how outdated parts of it really are and why it now feels overdue for a reset. In this video, we will talk about why he possibly made the call to move away from playback singing, what this could mean for the Bollywood music industry, and where this could take the Indian independent music scene. You're watching Soft Power, a series that dives deep into the milestones and movements of Indian music and pop culture. We break down how it has evolved, people who are shaping it, and why it deserves global attention. Arijit Singh began his Bollywood playback journey around 2011 with early film work including Murder 2 before he became a generational voice with Tum Hi Ho from Aashiki 2 in 2013, a track that reshaped the sound of Hindi film music. Since then, his voice has become an industry staple, so ubiquitous that it moved from being a hit maker to a habit of the system. And that is precisely why his exit matters. Playback singing in India has always functioned on a strange imbalance. The singer supplies the emotion and vulnerability of a song, but the public face, the one that history remembers, is almost always the actor lip-syncing on screen. This isn't new. What is newer is the scale at which the system now operates. To sustain relevance, playback singers don't release 10 or 20 songs a year, they release hundreds. There's no room for the musician's narrative, intention, or identity building. It's just industrial output. It almost feels like they're recording songs on autopilot. And while Arijit became one of the most streamed artists in the country and one of the most followed Indian musicians globally, that success didn't necessarily translate into control. One of the more uncomfortable points to be discussed in this dialogue is that playback singers often have little to no financial or ownership stake in the biggest songs of the country. You might have heard in movie business chatter that some actors have started opting for a profit-sharing model on top of the acting fees that they demand. As the face of the movie, they are granted that authority, whereas artists who pretty much drive the sonic identity of their movies are not afforded that right. Put simply, there is no proportional royalty or no long-term participation in the value the song generates over decades. The actor, the label, the film, all of them continue to earn. The singer moves on to the next recording session. In that context, Arijit's decision starts to look less like burnout and more like refusal. Singers have only monetized these songs through stage performances, but these have been fragmented and sporadic. Only recently have they begun reclaiming the stage through tours where they are the frontmen. Ironically, for years, it was actors who toured, dancing to songs they didn't sing, selling the fantasy back to the audience. That inversion is correcting itself. Stepping away from playback is Arijit choosing ownership over omnipresence. He wants to regain creative control to increase his focus on more authorship, less service work. Independent music offers what films never really could: control over release cycles, sound, collaborations, and crucially, identity. He launched his own label back in 2020 and has released some music under that. His recent global-facing collaborations with artists like Martin Garrix and Ed Sheeran also hint at him testing new lanes, new audiences, and new stakes. Of course, his indie releases so far haven't matched the cultural force of his film songs. That's likely a mix of oversaturation and under-marketing. But independence isn't about instant virality. It's about building a world. Playback didn't allow for that kind of experimentation, but independent music does. Now that it's clear why he might have made the choice to leave playback singing, we want to talk about what this could mean for independent music in India. This is the real inflection point. Indian independent music has been doing massive numbers for 5 to 7 years now. In the form of platforms, festivals, and brand partnerships, industry support has been moving away from film soundtracks and towards artist-led ecosystems. With Arijit entering this space full throttle, it now has legitimacy at the very top. Given his roots as a composer and storyteller, there's hope, not hype, that this move might help restore depth to Indian pop writing, which has taken a beating in the chase for quick hits. Potentially, his presence could do the following. It could normalize independence as a primary, not fallback career path, raise expectations around songwriting, not just hooks and vibes, and lastly, open doors to non-formulaic collaborations across genres and borders. Before we end the video, we also want to spend some time and talk about what this could mean for the Hindi film industry. Possibly a necessary shock. Historically, Bollywood has always had a favorite voice per decade. Once a voice sticks, the industry circles it to exhaustion. For years now, it's been rare to hear a soundtrack without an Arijit song somewhere in the track list. Comfort turned into template, but before that template could turn into stagnation, Arijit has forced its hand by stepping away before the industry tired of him. Now, films will have to really look for new voices and new textures. This vacuum could finally break the loop of repetition that's dulled Hindi film music for over a decade, where decisions are driven by data models rather than emotional risk. Sometimes systems don't evolve unless they're deprived of their crutch. All of that to say, this isn't about one singer quitting playback. It's about a voice refusing to be used without being seen. If Arijit Singh truly commits to independence, it signals a future where singers are artists first, utilities second, films borrow voices, not own them, and finally, success isn't measured by how often you're heard, but by why. For an industry built on borrowed voices and inherited formulas, that might be the most radical move of all. This isn't the end of an era because Arijit stopped singing for films, it's the end because the most powerful voice in the system decided it no longer wanted to function without ownership, intention, and agency. Leave a comment and tell us what you think will be Arijit's next move. You've been watching Soft Power. If this resonated with you, subscribe and stick around. We've got more stories, deep dives, and breakdowns coming your way.